and not sitting on forums just communicating with each other, but getting our arses off the seat, going out there where you have to get your hands dirty, where you have to take the challenges, where you have to take the abuse, and making a difference in the world instead of skitting all the time and contributing nothing. Because I say to these people, the time is coming when you are going to have to justify, not only to the children and grandchildren, but to yourselves, that you had some idea, not least because of the efforts of others and not yourselves, you have some idea of what we're going into and what we're facing in this world, and your response to it was just to skit and undermine and try to undermine people who are trying to do something about it. And if we get pulled into these irrelevance. I mean, it's just another version of religion. Oh, I follow Islam. And bull. Box. I follow Christian. Box. I follow Judaism. Box. And these things. Oh, is it a sorry, box? We have to start coming together and looking at the big picture. In short, we have to grow up as a human race, individually and collectively, and move into adulthood. Because it's the childlike, sheep-like, divide and rule mentality down these irrelevant fault lines, and these are irrelevant fault lines too, that has allowed the tiny few to divide and rule the many. And we are in a time now, as people wake up, where the few are going to lose that grasp, that grip, that control of the human collective psyche. But we're not going to do it with this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Just my view. And I am...
Thank you, David.
At peace with it.
That's good. Okay, you mentioned at the start there these beings that spoke to you through the psyche.
Right.
And you described them in your book a couple of times as they.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea who or what they are?
Well, I haven't got a clue. The way that I perceive them is not as beings, but as consciousness, awareness. But to be honest, I'm following the journey, Theo, and I'm following the clues, and that's good enough for me. Because when, like all of us, we leave the lens, the body computer, as I call it, these things will be answered. Oh, it was you then. And I'm not really, I've not really spent much time thinking about the form that this takes. I just follow the guidance and the synchronicity and the language of life, which I've kind of learned to read as a result of 20 years of experience. And as long as it feels good to me, intuitively good, that this is the right thing to do, then that's what I do. So the detailed nature, mate, I don't know. And funnily enough, I don't think about it much.
Okay. I was quite interested in the book to read that you sort of looked at the evidence for life after death.
Right.
And a lot of people have written about that, and I've had guests on the sofa talking about that subject. And one of the things that you pick up on, which I don't think many people have particularly picked up on, or very occasionally, is that even though those contacts with those people who have died or are in the other plane or whatever are quite common and seem to be pretty credible, they don't often say anything very interesting. And you pick up on that, don't you? And I was very interested in that because I think you're saying in your book that they're still kind of under the thumb of whatever these, you know, these lizards are, if you like, that they're still not into consciousness and the infinite consciousness. They're still kind of waiting to come back as a human being. Am I correct in that assumption?
Well, you know, I think if I just set out how I see it, and it's how I see it after 20 years of research and what have you, and how other people see it is entirely up to them. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I never have. Because I'd just be another guy standing up saying, I've got all the answers, you must believe me. So how have we moved on? This is information, make of it what you will. And I'm quite at peace without ever people, you know, decide to reject it or whatever. The way I see it is the real heart, the real core of existence is, and I've experienced it as stillness and silence. I call it the still, silent, infinite, all possibility. And within that silence, within that stillness, you have all potential, all possibility. And it's within that level of awareness that everything and nothing, everywhere and nowhere exists. Because when you're dealing with all possibility, you are in a state where there are no paradoxes. There cannot be paradoxes when you're in a realm where everything is possible. This is why everywhere and nowhere, everything and nothing is possible there. Now, what then happens is there are realities created out of that all possibility, which are some possibilities, one possibility, some possibilities. For instance, people think that when they think of silence or when they hear silence, that they're hearing nothing. You say to people, what can you hear? And they go, nothing. In fact, within that silence is everything. And it's when you introduce sound that you pull out of all possibility, the silence, individual possibilities. And these manifest as what we call worlds, realities. And therefore, when you are experiencing these worlds, unless you hold the connection to that infinite self, that infinite level of awareness or possibility, what I call the infinite, then your focus of attention can be pulled into the experiential level of the world that you are in or experiencing. At which point, you basically operate on a fraction of your infinite multidimensional self. And one of the biggest foundation, the foundation of the global conspiracy is to pull people in to a fake self-identity called David Icke or Ethel Jones or Charlie Smith, so that people self-identify overwhelmingly, sometimes totally, with that level of awareness. And therefore, your attention is pulled into a state of limitation, of I have no power, of Joe Public, of I can't. And once we're in that place, that state, because we're not getting inspiration and insight from higher levels of our consciousness anymore, because we've kind of shut it off,